Good afternoon, Dan Delmar in for Aaron just for today. James Mennie is with the Montreal Gazette. Hello, sir.
Hello, Dan.
All smiles today, James. Ottawa, Montreal, everyone's happy with their decisions, I guess.
Everyone's happy. I have to tell you, though, Dan, I don't know about you. I thought the biggest surprise of Valerie Plante's announcement today was how not a single molecule of that story leaked anywhere.
Yeah.
That, in fact, everybody seemed to have discovered at the same time that she would not be seeking another term, which suggests to me that the message indeed was very closely controlled within Projet Montreal. That clearly it must have been shared at the last moment with the caucus, because you know as well as I do how these things work. You'd figure you'd have a headline either in La Presse or TVA saying, Valerie Plante to lead after second term. That didn't happen. Her rationale, you can read the tea leaves on her statement. I've been reading her statement all afternoon. It's perfectly reasonable to conclude that Valerie Plante, after 10 years in public service, says, you know what, enough. I have, other things. She's 50 years old. I have other things I could be doing with my life. Excuse me. And I think that to a certain extent, good for her. There will be a leadership contest for Projet Montreal. The big question, of course, now is how short was the opposition and potential opposition caught by this announcement. There's going to be, I guess, a scramble on to really get the candidates, the potential replacements out front and center. We have a year, almost literally 1 year till the next election, but you've got to put yourself on the map. You've also got to give, I think in this particular instance, you have to give Montrealers a clear indication of where you stand. I've seen too many times, certainly in the last two elections, maybe we could say the last three, where Montreal voters, with reason or otherwise, have said, I'm going to vote for this person because they're not the other person. And I think on the one hand, given some of the ups and downs we've gone through in Montreal, that's understandable. But on the other hand, we're seeing now a city that is in real trouble. This is not a matter of ideology or dogma, even though to a certain extent, dogma on the part of Projet Montreal seems to be the answer. Economically, in terms of development, in terms of its reputation, Montreal is in need of a major overhaul. I was listening to your last guest explain how long he had to wait to get a permit to renovate a building in the Southwest. And there seems to be, even now, this idea that, within the city of Montreal, that, oh my God, where are they going to go? The 450? Yeah, they are. Go through the 450, you'll see cranes everywhere. You'll see construction everywhere. Montreal, especially downtown Montreal, is a disgrace. And whoever is going to try and take over that job is going to have to explain to the electorate, I believe, how they're going to change that and not change it down the road. No more airy-fairy promises about, yes, we'll work together and try and reach consensus. Come out with a straight game plan, well-researched, do your homework. There have been in the past candidates who made promises and only discovered that those promises were impossible to keep. So do all of that. But quite frankly, the idea that, that you've issued, because as I say, you still have a year. But all that said, people should be thinking now about what kind of Montreal they want to see in 2025, because we don't really have that much room to maneuver anymore, Dan.
Coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to ask the callers who should run Montreal, but also who would run Montreal, because one thing that concerns me is obviously the 19 boroughs, the heavy structure, but also people in municipal politics currently, including in Ensemble Montréal, the opposition party. I mean, there's not a single person that has come forward to say they want to run. And at this time, in the last election, I remember they did the quick switcheroo there. They had Lionel Perez, who was the interim leader, as Arif Salam is now. They switched in Coder at the last minute. Didn't work. Big surprise. And now we're wondering, well, who's the switcheroo this time? And no one's come forward.
But the problem, Dan, and I hate to say it, but the mayoralty of Montreal is not some glittering prize. The mayoralty of Montreal is a bomb waiting to go off. You are going to be making people angry one way or another, but the fact is the status quo cannot endure. The 7 years, and now 8 years, that Projet Montreal has used the city of Montreal as its social engineering chemistry set are done. The idea, I mean, they were always straight up. I never tire of reminding our listeners of an interview. Luc Ferrandez, who was then a member of Projet Montréal, gave to La Presse, saying, you know what? People may not like what we're doing. They can vote us out in the next term. But right now, we're going to do what we're going to do. And they have stayed true to that. They have, paved over God knows how many kilometers for bicycle paths that are maintained year-round. The city's economic outlook is grim. Downtown remains something that you shy away from. And I think to a certain extent, Montrealers have lost that arrogance they used to have, saying, we're a world-class city and whatever, and look at us, we're so, city of champions, good gastronom, this and that. It's traffic, orange cones, and yet another pointless public consultation. I think they're going to have to change the channel on that. And unless you're prepared to do that, don't waste your time running for mayor, because it's simply not going to work. But all that said, it'll be interesting, Dan, to see who steps up, how quickly they do so, and what exactly their vision for this city is going to be. Because quite frankly, I think most Montrealers, regardless of what side of the island you live on, don't think this current vision is the one for them.
My vision personally is trusteeship, but I know that's not a popular option. My vision is KPMG just coming up here and just reorganizing everything. Okay, we want to make some time for Ottawa, but again, I think we expected a lot of news out of Ottawa today and got a whole lot of nothing.
Well, yeah, and I think that in of itself is rather newsworthy. Like, nothing to see here, everything's fine. We were hearing about how I don't think this is over by a long shot. I think basically they were perhaps the 20 or 25 people who signed this letter were perhaps overawed by the apparent level of support that was exhibited for Justin Trudeau in that caucus meeting. Here's the news flash. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much the caucus supports Justin Trudeau. The fact is, unless we are subject to a galactic scale fraud on the part of various polling houses, this Liberal government is plumbing new depths in hell when it comes to a lack of popularity. And the main reason for that is Justin Trudeau. Now, to turn around and say, well, we just have to change the message. Does that mean you're going to go after Pierre Poilievre even harder? The problem is you can stomp over all you want on Poilievre, and perhaps with reason. But the reality is there is a huge amount of damage that's been done to the Liberal brand simply because of the words Justin Trudeau. And I don't think a happy, smiley caucus meeting is going to change that anytime soon. I think people who determine these things, then, the voters, their opinions haven't been swayed. And quite frankly, it would have been to at least have heard, from Trudeau saying, things have to change. No, he's happy, everything's fine, everything's marvelous. I don't think that's the case. I think Canadians are being buffaloed to a certain extent by the message that was transmitted this afternoon, and we may see that down the road. We may, and you know what? You and I may be having this conversation about yet another Powell's revolt, not that so far into the future.
Real quick, James, the one thing that strikes me is that we still don't have a Paul Martin figure that's emerged from caucus to actually be a leader and actually be the face of this, which is a shame.
We don't talk every day, Dan, but I have to tell you, in the past, I have pointed out that just this Liberal Party, this federal Liberal Party, is as much the federal Liberal Party that he got rid of the back room. There is only one power figure in that party. It's Justin Trudeau. So, like it or not, you're going to have to make, you're going to have to make your peace with him, either stay or go. But he's making it clear he's not going anywhere. The problem is the voters don't want to have him around. So we'll see how that works out perhaps next year.
All right. Well, wait some more. Thanks, James.
Demain.
Coming up next, your turn. We're going to get a bit of a debrief on the day's events from Don Kagan-Fleming and the surprise announcement from Valerie Plante. Then we're going to ask you who should run Montreal, who would run Montreal. Is it ungovernable, and what changes should be made to the city so that the next mayor doesn't have their hands tied? 514-790-0800, 514-790-0800. Definitely going to give priority to the callers today because we have to have a conversation about this. I mean, this is unusual, to say the least. We're a year away, almost exactly a year away from the election, and it doesn't appear that anyone really wants to run the city. There's one guy, we're going to play a clip from him. He was on with Elias this morning or yesterday, and not really anyone else coming forward. So that's highly unusual. I mean, if you're a politician, an up-and-coming politician, city councilor, school board person, you must be chomping at the bit at the thought of this opening for mayor of Montreal, but it doesn't look like anyone's jumping on it. 514-790-0800. Your call's next.